Have you ever wondered what happens when the person you trust most becomes the one who deceives you, and how far someone would go to protect their secrets when everything starts to fall apart? This is a story about a woman who thought she had her entire future planned out, only to discover that the foundation of her life was built on lies, and that sometimes the people closest to us are hiding the darkest truths. The narrative explores how one moment of revelation can completely transform a person's path, forcing them to question every relationship they have ever known and every decision they have ever made. The film begins with Babi, a successful accountant who appears to have everything figured out in her professional and personal life. She is preparing for her upcoming wedding to Kayo, her long-term partner, and the excitement of starting a new chapter fills her days with anticipation and joy. During her bachelorette party, an unexpected turn of events changes everything when a mysterious package arrives containing photographs that reveal Kayo has been unfaithful to her for the past 2 years. The images show her fiancé with another woman during his supposed business trips to Rio, and suddenly all the pieces of his suspicious behavior begin to fall into place. The revelation shatters her world, leaving her feeling humiliated, angry, and desperate to understand the full extent of his deception. What makes this discovery even more complex is that Kayo happens to be one of the most important clients of the firm where Babi works, creating a professional entanglement that cannot be easily untangled. As Babi processes the emotional aftermath of discovering her fiancé's infidelity, she receives support from her close friend and work colleague Tiago, who wears glasses and appears to be a genuinely kind and caring presence in her life. Together with her best friend Camilla, these two individuals help her regain her sense of stability and encourage her to move forward rather than remain trapped in the pain of betrayal. Babi decides to take control of her own destiny and begins making choices that reflect her newfound independence, including purchasing back her motorcycle that she had given up at some point in the past. This motorcycle becomes a symbol of her freedom and her willingness to reclaim parts of herself that she had suppressed or abandoned during her relationship with Kayo. During this period of transformation, Babi recalls a recent court hearing she attended for work where Kayo was being questioned about alleged involvement in a money laundering operation. At the time, Kayo had dismissed the accusations as routine legal procedures and maintained his innocence. But what stood out to Babi during that hearing was the presence of the judge presiding over the case, a man named Marco. Marco had caught her attention immediately with his striking presence and the undeniable chemistry that seemed to exist between them from the very first glance. When their paths cross again at his office, the attraction between them becomes impossible to ignore, and Babi finds herself drawn to this enigmatic figure who represents something completely different from her former life. She secretly refers to him as the attractive judge, acknowledging to herself and her friends that there is something captivating yet mysterious about him. Marco appears to be a man who is fixated on truth and justice in his professional capacity, yet he seems to be surrounded by secrets and complexities in his personal life that Babi cannot quite understand. The connection deepens when Babi discovers that Marco shares her passion for motorcycles and is part of a motorcycle club that rides along beautiful coastal roads. She joins the club and experiences thrilling rides that make her feel alive in ways she had forgotten were possible. The relationship between Babi and Marco quickly intensifies into a romance filled with passion and desire that consumes both of them. For Babi, this new connection represents not just a rebound from her failed engagement, but an opportunity for genuine transformation and self-discovery. She finds herself experiencing emotions and sensations that had been absent from her relationship with Kayo, and Marco seems to understand her in ways her former fiancé never did. However, just as she begins to trust again and open her heart to the possibility of a real future with Marco, complications arise that threaten to destroy everything. One day, a woman appears at Marco's residence while Babi is there and begins arguing with him, revealing herself to be his wife. The discovery leaves Babi feeling devastated and betrayed once again, wondering if she has simply traded one dishonest man for another. Marco quickly attempts to explain the situation, insisting that things are not what they appear to be. He reveals that he is in the process of getting a separation and that his marriage has been over for quite some time, though the legal and personal circumstances have made it difficult to finalize. Marco explains that his wife has been struggling with significant mental health challenges that caused their relationship to deteriorate beyond repair. During their marriage, they had a daughter together who was born with a rare medical condition requiring constant hospital care and life support equipment. The situation became critical when Marco's wife, in the midst of her mental health crisis, attempted to disconnect the machines keeping their daughter alive, putting the child's life in serious danger. After this incident, Marco took full custody of their daughter to protect her safety, and any possibility of salvaging the marriage disappeared entirely. He assures Babi that he has been honest with her about his feelings, and that his relationship with his wife exists only on paper at this point. After hearing his explanation, Babi decides to believe him and continue their relationship, choosing to trust that Marco is being truthful, despite her recent history of being deceived. While Babi navigates her complicated romantic situation with Marco, the dangerous reality of Caio's illegal activities begins to close in around her. She becomes determined to uncover the full truth about what her former fiancé has been involved in, particularly regarding the money laundering accusations that were raised during the court hearing. Through her investigation, Babi manages to access information from Caio's computer that provides concrete evidence of his participation in illegal schemes designed to enrich himself by exploiting her company's resources and client relationships. Armed with this evidence, she considers exposing him and bringing the entire operation to light, despite the professional complications and potential dangers involved. However, someone else is very interested in making sure that Babi does not reveal what she has discovered, and they are willing to go to extreme lengths to silence her. Strange and frightening events begin occurring in Babi's life that suggest she is being targeted. Her home is broken into, and she experiences what appears to be a deliberate attempt to cause harm when she is riding her motorcycle and another vehicle intentionally collides with her, causing her to lose control. The incident is designed to appear like an accident, but Babi begins to suspect that someone is actively trying to intimidate her, or worse. Despite these warning signs, she continues her investigation, refusing to be scared away from uncovering the truth about the corruption that has touched her life. What Babi fails to realize for far too long is that the conspiracy extends much closer to her than she ever imagined, and that her trusted friend Tiago is not the loyal companion he has pretended to be. Throughout the entire ordeal, Tiago has been working alongside Caio as a central figure in the money laundering operation, and in fact, he has been the mastermind orchestrating much of the illegal activity. When Babi first discovered Caio's infidelity, Tiago had strategically convinced her not to sever business ties with him, claiming it would be unprofessional and damaging to the firm. This advice was not given out of concern for Babi's career, but rather to protect the ongoing criminal enterprise that depended on maintaining the business relationship between Caio and the company where both Babi and Tiago worked. Tiago and Caio had been responsible for the motorcycle incident that nearly caused serious harm to Babi, hoping it would frighten her enough to abandon her investigation. When that tactic fails and Babi continues to pose a threat to their operation, Tiago decides that more drastic measures are necessary. The situation reaches a terrifying climax when Tiago picks up Babi in his car under the pretense of helping her with something, but instead drives her to a secluded location in the forest where Caio is waiting. The two men have already dug a grave, making their intentions horrifyingly clear. Tiago reveals his true nature, explaining that Babi has become too much of a liability and that they cannot allow her to expose the money laundering scheme that would result in both of them facing serious prison time. Caio appears visibly shaken and conflicted about what is happening, especially after a recent incident in which dangerous individuals associated with their illegal business broke into his office and attacked him, leaving him covered in injuries. During that confrontation, Caio had told Tiago that he wanted out of the criminal operation entirely, but Tiago made it clear that it was too late for second thoughts. In the forest, Tiago orders Caio to be the one to carry out the act of ending Babi's life, attempting to force him to take responsibility for solving the problem they both created. Babi pleads desperately with Caio, appealing to whatever feelings he might still have for her after their years together. Caio stands there with the weapon in his hands, clearly struggling with the moral weight of what he is being asked to do. Finally, he admits that he cannot go through with it, telling Tiago that he simply does not have it in him to harm Babi. In that moment of hesitation, Babi seizes her opportunity and grabs a shovel that had been used to dig the grave, swinging it forcefully and striking both Tiago and Caio, knocking them to the ground. She makes a desperate attempt to reach Tiago's weapon before he can recover, but he manages to get to it first. In a shocking turn of events, instead of targeting Babi, Tiago turns the weapon on Caio and fires a shot directly into his chest, ending his former partner's life immediately. The sudden loss of Caio, despite all the pain and betrayal he caused her, strikes Babi with unexpected emotion as she witnesses the man she once loved and planned to marry lose his life right in front of her. Before Tiago can turn his attention back to Babi and complete his original plan, Marco arrives at the scene, having somehow discovered what was happening and tracked them to this remote location. Marco has been conducting his own investigation into the corruption case, using his position and resources to gather information and protect Babi from the dangers surrounding her. He immediately engages Tiago in a physical struggle, fighting to protect Babi and subdue the man who has orchestrated so much harm. During the intense altercation, Tiago manages to gain the upper hand momentarily and fires his weapon at Marco, striking him in the side and causing him to collapse. With Marco injured on the ground and seemingly unable to continue fighting, Tiago prepares to finish what he started with Babi. However, at the critical moment, a law enforcement officer arrives on the scene and shoots Tiago from behind, stopping him before he can cause any more harm. The intervention saves both Babi and Marco, bringing the terrifying confrontation to an end. Once she is free from immediate danger, Babi rushes to Marco's side, staying with him as he receives emergency medical attention for the injury he sustained while protecting her. Her choice to go to Marco, rather than to Caio's body, makes it clear that despite the complicated history and the years she spent with her former fiancé, she has truly moved forward emotionally. Marco is taken to receive proper medical care, and Babi accompanies him through the difficult recovery process. In the aftermath of these traumatic events, the illegal money laundering operation is fully exposed, and the corruption scheme that Tiago had been leading is brought to light. Babi and Marco's relationship continues to grow stronger as they work through the aftermath together, with Babi providing support and showing genuine commitment to building a future with him. Time passes, and 6 months after the harrowing events in the forest, Babi and Marco have built a life together that reflects stability, trust, and genuine partnership. Marco's daughter, who had been hospitalized with her rare medical condition requiring life support equipment, has made significant progress in her treatment and health. Marco shares the wonderful news with Babi that his daughter will soon be healthy enough to leave the hospital and come home to live with them, no longer dependent on the machines that had been keeping her alive. Babi responds to this news with genuine enthusiasm and warmth, demonstrating her readiness to embrace the role of being part of this child's life and to help create a family together with Marco. The prospect of Marco's daughter joining them represents a new beginning and the formation of a family unit that has emerged from the wreckage of betrayal, danger, and loss. In one of the final scenes, Babi and Marco are shown riding together on his motorcycle along a beautiful beach as the sun sets over the water, creating a stunning backdrop that symbolizes the peace and happiness they have found after surviving so much turmoil. The image captures the freedom and joy that Babi has reclaimed for herself, no longer trapped in a relationship built on lies or living in fear of those who wanted to silence her. Through all the deception she experienced from Caio, the shocking betrayal by someone she considered a close friend in Tiago, and the initial doubts she had about Marco's honesty, Babi has ultimately found someone who proves himself to be trustworthy and genuinely committed to her well-being. Marco, who initially appeared mysterious and potentially dangerous, reveals himself to be the opposite of what she feared, consistently showing up to protect her, being honest about his complicated personal circumstances, and supporting her through the most difficult moments. Their relationship demonstrates that sometimes the person who seems risky on the surface can turn out to be the safest choice, while those who appear completely trustworthy may be hiding the most dangerous secrets. The narrative examines how betrayal can come from unexpected sources, how resilience allows people to rebuild after devastating discoveries, and how genuine connection can emerge even in the midst of chaos and danger.